Welcome to the Hawkins Observer, a podcast where two half-lifelong friends recap and analyze every episode of Stranger Things as we prepare for the release of the final season in a couple days.
As always, we'll give you a scene by scene recap discussing the plot and developments, as well as sharing our thoughts, memories, and reactions.
In this episode, Alexi slurps a Slurpee, Eleven goes to the beach, Hopper calls a library, and the monster becomes even more gooey.
So grab your surfboards and don't join any processions, because here comes season 3, episode 6, E Pluribus Unum.
Woo!
Out of many, one.
Yep, 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 yep. Speaking of, out of the many people that watch this podcast, if just one of you would comment, that'd be awesome. Or subscribe or like.
There are dozens of us.
Literally dozens. Okay, kicking it off. I hope I can remember the notes I wrote. I kind of wrote them in a hurry. Okay. Uh, we start with the four kids underground in the Russian lab, and they're staring at this laser trying to open the gate. And Steven and Dustin know what's going on. Robin's like, "How do you guys know what they're trying to do?" They get back down to the comms room, and Erica's like, "Hey, where's your Russian friend? That Russian guy came back too, and he's not in there anymore." As soon as they realize that, alarm goes off. They're spotted. They run through doors. They run into the observation ring. The kids run into the laser room. They're trying to get away as they're being chased by Russian soldiers. The workers are just like, "What? How did kids get in here?" As the Russian soldiers are trying to capture them. They all four run into some contained room where Robin and Steve hold the door shut long enough for Dustin and Erica to escape. From there, we cut to back to the hospital room. In the waiting room, the lights are flickering, and Will grabs his neck and it starts to give him a signal, and Will just goes, "He's here." And 11 then looks real determined. We last episode we saw that uh the two newspaper men's goo became one monster, one massive monster, and it starts chasing Nancy. The kids bypass the front desk. The lady tries to stop them, says two at a time, but the kids are on a mission. Nancy runs through the corridors while the lights are flashing, and she runs into a door, slams it, locks it, and Jonathan's just kind of hobbling down the hallway to try to help uh, get to Nancy. The monster arrives at this locked door and then unshapes itself so it can slide through underneath the door and through the vents in the door. Blah. Uh, Jonathan arrives after this happened, but the door's locked, so he can't get in. The kids start running up some stairs to see if they can help and figure out what's going on. Inside, the monster recoagulates and it swats Nancy across the room and it leans over her and it's drooling on her and roars at her. It looks like it's about to bite her head off when 11 breaks the door down, and using her power she flings the monster all around the room and eventually flings it through a window. The monster flies outside. The kids run outside to see if it's dead or what happened to it, and they arrive in time to see the monster sliding across the parking lot and down into like a drain. It makes it underground, maybe even underwater, but it's bubbling and squelching as it slinks along underground. And this monster rejoins a larger monster downstairs. And Billy is standing there with Heather, and all Billy says is, "It's time." Roll intro credits.
Yeah, he says it's time as if they have what they need now. Like whatever it was that they're waiting for, this is the go time, show time.
I wonder what that was.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be that maybe they have more people now with the Tom and Bruce joining forces. Or maybe now that 11 is involved,
Yep.
it's like, all right, now that 11's involved, we don't have any more time to wait.
Yep.
So who knows? But the interesting thing in the opening scene is that Steve and Robin are kind of sacrificing themselves, or at least willing to let Dustin and Erica escape.
Uh-huh. True. one thing that I noticed, the farther we get into these series, obviously more people are watching it. Feels like the budget's increasing because no longer from the first season are we getting just glimpses of a scary thing in the sky, or no longer are we getting this slimy, gooey thing in a dark corner. Like the more we go on, we just come more face to face with this, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, production value is way high.
Yep. From there, we cut to a happy scene. It's the Fourth of July festival's being set up. There's carnival games, balloons. Uh, the Mayor Klein's wearing sunglasses because, well, we'll find out why in a minute. He just starts micromanaging, goes up to a guy with a little hot dog stand. Is like, you can't be here. You're on the thoroughfare. Move over there. And as he's bossing people around, he notices someone's watching him. It's the Russian Strangler, and he takes off his sunglasses, and we see that he's received quite a beating, and he's wearing the glasses to cover that up. So he and the Russian Strangler have a secret meeting inside a carnival ride, and he explains like, "Look, everyone's looking for Jim. He's not that smart anyway, so we're going to find him. Don't worry about it." Then he gets snarky with the Russian Strangler and says, "And when you go for him next time, I suggest you bring backup because last time he definitely got the better of you." And the Russian Strangler doesn't take too kindly of that, starts choking him, and the ride accidentally starts spinning around. And Mayor Klein's like, "I'm sorry, I've got temper problems. I'm going to counseling." And the Russian Strangler is like, "You're lucky you still breathe." And Klein's like, "Very lucky."
Yeah, that I mean, these are the two bad guys having a meeting about how they're going to find Hopper,
Yeah.
but Clyde's not willing to give him any credit, even though Hopper just recently beat the absolute crap out of him. And
True.
this Russian Strangler guy is 6 inches taller than Klein, like just baddie, the baddie of baddies.
He really does kind of sound like Schwarzenegger. I mean, that
Yeah.
kind of European bad guy accent.
Yep.
Huh. That Hopper, he's pulling up back to Murray's and he gets out of the convertible. He's got Burger King. Yay. Alexi's inside with the other two and he's just watching cartoons and then he starts eating. And they use Murray as a translator and they start asking him, okay, what are these generators for? We know they're not powering them all. And before Alexi can explain, he gags on the strawberry Slurpee. And through the translation, we find out he wanted cherry, not strawberry. Even Joyce defends him. She's like, Hop, he did ask for cherry. And Hopper's like, they didn't have it. And Alexi doubles down. No cherry, no deal. And Hopper loses it. Planned, but loses it. He starts attacking Alexi, pulls him up, throws him down, pulls him up. And they're like, don't hurt him. And Hopper's like, I'm not. I'm just going to throw him around a bit. Eventually, Hopper gets so sick of him, Hopper throws Alexi the car keys and the handcuff keys. Alexi runs outside. He takes off his handcuffs and he hops in the car. But Hopper knows that Alexi can't has nowhere to go now. Like if he tries to go back to the Russians, they'll know that he's been with the Americans and they let him go for some reason. So he'll probably have spilled the beans. So, but Murray and Joyce doubt this plan. Like, no, you can't let him go. And so he starts the car and they run outside. And Alexi just backs into the spot, throws the keys back to Hopper, and he's like, blah, 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 blah. And Hopper's like, oh, what'd he say? And Murray's like, he likes strawberry too.
You really worried here for a second because Hopper is so confident in his ability to read the room that Alexi has nowhere to go, like you mentioned, and that they are his safest bet.
They are
Uh,
his biggest bet. Yep.
Murray and Hopper and Joyce. But as he's saying that, Alexi lets himself out of the handcuffs and starts the car and then pulls away. And as he's doing that, Murray is giving him play by play. Like he started the car, he's pulling away. So you get the impression that he really is going to leave. And the reason that they go outside is because they're expecting to see him driving
Oh,
away.
mhm.
but he's just parked just over this little rise where if he were to go another 50 feet, he'd be gone.
Yep.
And he's just sitting there, not moving.
Hmm.
And Hopper is so justified, vindicated when Alexei just proves Hopper right and backs back in and just walks inside on his own.
This should put everybody on very different terms now. So
Yeah, for sure.
Alexi knows that Hopper is probably not going to kill him if even if he gets what he wants out of him. Like Hopper could have killed him by now, but
Yeah. Well, and it goes to show you too that like Hopper called Alexei's bluff, and Alexei showed that he had no cards.
that's right.
The power dynamic has totally shifted now. Whereas just in the early part of this scene, Alexei had all the power, laughing at the cartoons like he didn't even care. No cherry, no deal.
Yep.
Now Alexei has his tail between his legs, and they've got him.
Yet. We cut to Dustin and Erica are in an air duct, so they've successfully escaped, and we realize that Dustin has just finished telling Erica everything that's been going on in the past couple years with Will and their party and all the drama. And so Erica now knows everything. And Erica's like, "You mean Lucas was there?" And Dustin's like, "That's the part you don't believe?" And she's like, "Yeah, I believe everything else, but I don't believe my brother was involved." And so then they start to figure out, like, okay, how are we going to get out of here? We've been here this long. And then all of a sudden, Erica spouts off all these facts like, we've been here for 9 hours. We've gone this far. We have this far to go. What are we going to do? And Dustin's like, "Whoa, did you just do all that in your head?" And Eric's like, "It wasn't that hard." And Dustin's like, "You're a nerd." And she gets real offended, like, "What do you mean I'm a nerd? I'm not a nerd." And then Dustin justifies it. You're a math whiz. I can't remember the other thing. You're a math whiz. You're something something.
Talks about My Little Pony.
And then says, "Oh, and you love My Little Pony." And Dustin's like spouting off a bunch of My Little Pony stuff. And then she calls him out. She's like, "Well, how do you know about Little Pony?" And Dustin's like, "Because I'm a nerd."
It's so funny. Erica's when Dustin calls her out for all of he just spouts off all this lore from My Little Pony, and it really is a nerd. It's like a girl version of pick your favorite nerdy thing.
Uh-huh.
And Erica doesn't have anything to say to him at the end, where Dustin just goes, "You are a nerd." And Erica fights him and fights him. And when she finally says, like, "How do you know so much about My Little Pony?" He goes, "Because I'm a nerd." And
Yeah.
she goes, "Ah," like she just growls at him. She has
Love
no
it.
retort.
Oh, and the other thing is she's like super, turns out she's like super political. Like, "Oh, how do you know so much about
Yeah.
politics as a 9-year-old?" So anyway, you don't have to tiptoe, but I don't recommend listening in if you haven't heard this episode. E pluribus unum 306.
That Malia?
I think that's the one I just watched.
Oh,
Oh no, is that the next
earmuffs. We're gonna spoil it for you.
That's Malia.
It's the Malia. She's officially addicted. She even got like a Stranger Things tattoo. So
We need to make a, she needs to make a cameo.
that we could probably do some guest appearances later on. Okay. From the air duct, we cut back to the Russians beating the crap out of Steve, and they're trying to get information out of him. "Who do you work for?" And he's like, "I swear I work for Scoops Ahoy." And they assume he's lying,
Yeah.
like he's like some secret spy. And then they're like, "How did you get in here?" And this is where he does lie. He says, "Oh, we were expecting a delivery. We went down to the dock to find our ice cream, and then all of a sudden we're in this room, and it drops down, and here we are in this wonderful facility." They think he's lying, which he is on that instance. And then he's like, "Listen, nobody knows about us. Nobody saw us. I'm not going to tell everybody. Life will go on." And then he's like, "And I can offer you ice cream," which he also offered to Erica. So he's having to give away a lot of ice cream. Soldiers die laughing, and they're like, "I like this guy." And then they look back at Steve and go, "Who do you work for?" They still don't believe him. They basically knock him unconscious and drag him down the hallway into a room where Robin already is. Steve's not responding. Um, they hit Robin in the face. They put them both in chairs. They strap them together and they tell Robin, I think your friend needs a doctor, which is good because we have the very best. And Robin spits in the Russian general's face. And he says, "You're going to regret that Russian word for bad lady." So, yeah. Whew.
Man, the laughing is actually the scariest part of this scene.
The Russian laughing.
They all start laughing.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I was like, "Oh, these are the real bad guys." Because they don't have to use intimidation,
Hmm.
but we feel bad for Steve because the second time they ask him who he works for, he's already been through it all. It's after the laughing,
Yeah.
and he is like, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to go
Oh,
through this again." Because
right.
if I tell the truth, I've already done that. They don't believe me. I work for Scoops Ahoy.
I like that he defends himself. He's like, "You think I just wear this? Like, this is what I'd wear to be a spy?" Like,
Yeah,
being the eternally cool guy, he's like, "I'm not choosing to wear this."
yeah. But now here they are tied up in that room, and they're in a bad way.
Cut to 11. She's in the void and she's looking up, which is kind of unusual. We don't always see her. It's normally looking deep into the black void, but she's looking up and all around. Um, we cut to her in the real world. She's got her blindfold on, and there's a stack of bloody tissue. So it applies that she's been looking in the void for a while. Blood's just constantly going from her nose.
Yeah.
Nancy's on the phone, following up to see if anything else has gone missing. And they're like, okay, what can we figure out about this? There's a pattern to this behavior, but why they stop feeding on these chemicals all of a sudden? Mike and Max are arguing about 11. Like, Mike's defending 11, saying she shouldn't be in there this long. This could hurt her. Like, you guys are abusing her powers. Max and Nancy are like, she's her own woman. She can do whatever she wants. Like, she knows her abilities better than everybody else. Uh, and then I don't remember who said this, but someone goes, "Yeah, who cares? Girlfriends don't lie, they spy." Lucas is like, "What?" And Mike's like, "Oh, you didn't know that they've been spying on us?" Like, Mike's like, "What if I was taking a big dump? Like, what if you'd spied on me?" Like, he's again just trying to be like, this is not a good situation for 11. Um, Mike then caps the discussion by saying, "You're careless with Elle's powers. You're treating her like a machine. I don't want her to die looking for all these flayed people when they've obviously just vanished off the piece of the earth. So can we please come up with a new plan because I love her and I can't lose her again?" And everyone's like, "What?" At that time, 11 comes out of her confinement room and says, "I found him." I go, "Find who?"
Yeah, we think that maybe when we see 11 that she overheard Mike saying, "Because I love her and I can't lose her again." But she was
Uh-huh.
like, "What are you guys doing?" I found him. Um, but yeah, the craziest thing in this scene is just how long Eleven's been in the void. It's like unprecedented territory for her to not go in and out, in the matter of a few minutes. Like this could have been hours that she's been in the void. And Mike is kind of right. I mean, I sympathize with him. Like she doesn't know what could happen to her if she's in the void this long
Uh-huh.
because she's not done it before. And so like Max and Nancy defending her, like she knows the limits of her own power. Mike is like, no, she doesn't.
Mm-hmm. And this is like a slow burn for her. Sometimes when she has to exert all her powers, it's a double nosebleed. She
Mm-hmm.
gets exhausted. But here it's just one nosebleed, but it's been
Constant.
going on for a long time. So
But whatever she was doing, it worked. She found him.
have to pee. BRB, LOL. Ugh. course. Did that help you know when I was leaving and coming back, the piano?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Um, Back at Murray's, they're talking about through Alexi getting translated by Murray. There's like, okay, there's a key. It emits energy. It requires a lot of power. The houses are near transformers, and they're stealing from the power grid. And Hopper's like, yeah, but why come here to build this key, this thing that's emitting all this energy? And Alexei said, well, we made a lot of keys in Russia. They all turned out wrong, but they had to come back to and Murray can't quite make it out. He's not perfectly fluent, and Joyce gives him a bit of a hard time about not being fluent. And Murray's like, oh, I'm sorry, are my free translation services not enough for you? Ali makes a Alexi makes a demonstration using a, a plastic straw and a fry box, how the straw is trying to penetrate a hole into the box. And uh, the straw represents the key. It emits great energy, and it's using energy to break through a barrier to open a doorway between worlds. Uh-oh. But it seems like this key was only half the equation. The location of it was the other half. And of course, they knew that Hawkins, this door had already been opened once, and
Yep.
it was still healing, but now it's opening. And so Joyce kind of realizes the severity of this problem, and she gets up, and Hopper's like, "Where are you going?" And she's like, "To call our children." And Hopper's like, "This can't be happening again. This can't be happening again." So he heads into the kitchen, starts opening Murray's cabinets. Murray's like, "Can I help you?" And Hopper
Mhm.
just says, "Whiskey. I need whiskey." And Murray's like, "Well, I don't have whiskey, but I have vodka." So they take some shots together, and they even cheers it. Think. And then they're like, we have to figure out how to turn this key off. Like it can be turned off, right? So they go back to Alexi and they're like, the key, is there a way to turn it off? And Alexi's like, yeah, of course. But Alexi would be the only one probably who's knowledgeable enough to do this, and he can't go back in because he's naked. I mean, he's exposed, compromised, and Hopper's like, "I I can get you back to the key." And Alexei just dies laughing in his face. This is a Russian reaction. The second time people are just laughing in someone's face because of how ridiculous they think they sound. We can see Joyce in the background. She's on the phone, but we don't hear her what she's talking to. Alexei's like, I like your courage, Hopper. You're kind of like a fat Rambo. But then he says, even a thin Rambo couldn't get there because it's in an underground fortress. It's guarded by our best people. It was designed by our best architects. And he's like, breaking in to this fortress is impossible.
Yeah. Did you notice he used the fry box when he was talking about the Russian version of the key, and the straw kind of bent,
Oh,
like when it because the fry box was too thick. But
okay.
then he pulled out a burger wrapper, and that's when he punched it through.
Oh.
Hawkins has a thinner veil between the worlds, and so it's easier to open the gate because it's already been opened here once.
And it hadn't fully healed.
Yes.
Huh. That makes sense. That's interesting. Well, turns out breaking in isn't impossible because we cut to Erica and Dustin, and they finally emerge into a room. And in this room are many of those green vials of goo. And then Erica spots what looks like a cage or a jail cell, and she goes, how big was those Demogorgons? Dustin finds keys to one of those carts they saw driving around earlier. So Dustin's like, this is how we're going to get out of here using this cart. Erica, in the meantime, has found a deadly weapon. It's this taser, like an electric taser. And she says, we can use this to take out the commies and save our friends. Erica sounds like she's ready to fight, but Dustin's like, no, we actually need to try to get out of here and alert the authorities and get help. We cut to Robin, who's still tied to Steve, and she's yelling for help. And Steve comes to and is like, hey, stop yelling. Robin's like, oh, good, you're awake. See those scissors over there on the table? Let's hop over to those scissors and we can knock them off and cut, use them to cut our restraints. They try to scoot over there, but then they end up falling over together since they're tied together in chairs. And Robin, rather than cry about it, she starts giggling. And she goes, I can't believe I'm going to die in a secret Russian cave with Steve the Hare Harrington. Then she remembers, she starts talking about history class, first period, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And she says, I remember you. You were always late. You always had the same breakfast. I sat behind you 2 days a week for a year. You were Mr. Funny, Mr. Cool. Do you even remember me from that class? Of course you don't, because you were a real asshole. You know that? And Steve's like, yeah, I know. And she goes, I was obsessed with you. We just all wanted to be popular and accepted and normal. So they have this like really good heart to heart about, what it meant in high school to be popular and accepted versus, Robin was obviously of a what she considered a lesser or nerdier class. So it was a really good kind of a heart to heart. Steve doesn't defend himself. He knows he was kind of an asshole. Um, then the guards walk in and they see that they've fallen over. And the main guy's like, "Hey, let's uh let's see if we can get you to tell the truth this time to make your visit to the doctor less painful." And the doctor has a vial of something that he injects into Steve's neck.
Uh, Obviously, it's a very hopeless situation with them tied up. They're at the mercy of these Russian, agents or, I mean, they say doctors. We don't really know,
Yeah.
but they still bring it back to Hawkins High School. The relationship aspect of it. It humanizes the scene enough to keep us from despairing. Um, but yeah, I mean, he says this will make you talk. So, we suspect it might be some sort of truth serum or something.
Mm,
But when he walks in, he was like, "Where were you guys going?" It's like that should be obvious to you. The scissors right on the table.
yeah. I'm surprised they didn't just give him shots of vodka as a truth serum. I don't know.
I mean, they have that to spare.
That would have made me talk. From there, we cut to more static on the TV. Eleven's in the void, and she's starting to breathe heavy. And they ask, "What's he doing now?" And she goes, "He's in his room." And they're like, "What?" She found Billy, but he's in his room on the 4th of July. And then they're like, "Wait, maybe he wants us to find him." And then they're like, "Yes, this is a trap. We know, we think that if the rest of the Flayed know where they are, the rest of the Flayed will know where they are if they go to find Billy." Lucas wants to fight. He's like, "All right, let's go kick Billy's ass." And but 11 looks at a box of Lucky Charms, and on that box is a rainbow, and that causes her to flash back to Mama. And then she goes, Billy has been to the source. Like she realizes that Billy knows where this energy, this thing is coming from. And then she goes, we can't go to Billy, but I think there's another way for me to see where he's been. So they're trying to find out where the source is. They're not going to go directly to Billy. But Eleven's like, I think I know a way to figure out where the source is. Uh, Mike says, you've only done this once before when your mom wanted you to know something, but Billy's mind is sick and diseased. And Eleven's like, he can't hurt me in there. And Mike's like, we don't know that. And 11 tells Mike, I need you to trust me. So 11 goes back to the void and she sees Billy on his bed in his room and she walks right straight up to him. In real life, Billy is just sitting there, one of the versions of Billy, probably the possessed, sweaty Billy. 11 reaches out in the void and grabs Billy's hand and said, Billy, can you hear me? I want to see. I want to see what happens. And he looks up and he grabs her arm. She screams and breaks free, but as she breaks free, she starts to fall backwards, and then she starts seeing all of this stuff that's been happening to Billy in reverse, all the way back to his car accident. The falling seems to make her wake up, but where she wakes up is on a beach. There's distorted talking that sounds like it's coming from the clouds or around her. And Mike in real life goes, Elle, are you okay? Are you okay? And she in confinement with she goes, I'm okay. I'm on a beach. There's no beaches in Hawkins. And then Max realizes, oh, she's in California. And they're like, what else do you see? And Eleven says, a woman. She's pretty. I think she's looking at me. But a boy runs past 11 on this beach with a surfboard. And Eleven's like, there's a boy. We hear the boy go, 10 minutes. Can I have 10 more minutes to surf? And there's the lady, presumably his mom now, goes, yeah, any longer than that, Dad's gonna be mad. And she yells and she goes, Billy, watch out for the rip currents. It's Billy as a child in California. And then Eleven says, I think I see it, the source. And in the distance, Eleven on the same beach sees that storm, the redness, the craziness. She sees a storm over the beach.
I mean, Mike's right here. Like 11 wants to see into Billy's void the way
Uh-huh.
that she saw into Mama's, but Mike is like, she didn't have any ill intentions towards you, and she wanted you to see this.
Right.
You're entering an entirely different situation here. And what 11 tells Mike is what Papa told or Brenner told 11. It can't hurt you in there. I need you to
Oh,
trust me.
interesting.
And now 11's using that to Mike, and Mike is like, obviously, Mike doesn't know that. Brenner said that to her back in the day. But as an audience, we get a really eerie feeling from this that like 11 is deeper going into this uncharted territory of going to see what Billy's, head is going through. And it's like, you don't know what's going to happen to you in there.
Yeah. It was traumatic enough the last time that you referenced that it opened the gate.
Yeah.
Wow. Back to Murray's place, and Hopper makes a call, and he's like, they're like, okay, less than 2 minutes because we don't want to be traced. And he's like, yeah, 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 I got it. And he makes a call, and we see two phones sitting side by side. One says the Philadelphia Public Library, and the other says the Kennedy Space Center. Hopper calls, the guy picks up and identifies himself as Philadelphia Public Library. And Hopper identifies that he got this number from a doctor, Sam Owens. And the guy's like, what's your identification code? And Hopper's like, I can't remember, I can't remember. And then all of a sudden he goes, Antique Chariot. And that's some sort of code that this guy knows. Okay, this guy got the secret number for a reason. Hopper explains, please tell Dr. Sam the Ruskies are opening the gate. There's an interest at the Starcourt Mall. I know how to get in, but I need backup, a lot of backup. And the guy just goes, your message will be relayed. Hangs up. And then they're like, back at Murray's, now what do we do? And Hopper's just like, we wait. And then Murray's like, he realizes he's been compromised. Like his location where the call came from. Um, I don't remember why I wrote this down. You'll have to tell me in a minute. The kids are at the festival 10 minutes from the gate. Oh, they're realizing like
Yeah.
where their kids are, and it's not very far from where this gate is supposedly opening. Joyce calls the hotline right back as, hi, this is Antique Chariot's partner. And she just starts going off with the same guy, and the guy's like, "Ma'am, I need you to stay calm." Oh, never tell Joyce to be calm. She lights a fire into this guy. She's like, "Listen, you need to bring men and get to Hawkins right now. Do you understand me? Good day." So she lights a fire, and that implies that stuff's going to happen a lot quicker because Joyce got involved. They all head out. They're also going to take off for Hawkins. And before they leave Murray's place, he just grabs a bunch of papers, presumably what Alexi was drawing and working on, and they leave together for Murray's house.
Yeah. Hopper gives the guy on the phone Murray's real phone number.
Oh, that's why.
That's where you know, and he's taking longer than 2 minutes too. I think we're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
furious. But then when Joyce calls back, the guy gets a more human tone. He's like, "Oh, yes, ma'am."
Mhm.
Yeah. So whatever backup they're calling for, we actually get the impression that maybe Joyce's second call actually did get through to him the urgency of the situation. But she's not willing to go through the whole secretive process. She's just like, you need to listen to me.
And how interesting. Have we even seen Dr. Sam this season? I don't think
No,
we have, but here we hear that maybe he's not still involved, but that's how Hopper got this secretive number. Well, back in confinement with Robin and Steve, and apparently Robin was given some of this serum because even though they're captives, they feel fine and normal. Then they're like, wait, I actually kind of feel good. And
yeah.
then they start giggling about stuff. And like, you want to know a secret? Like, I like this. This kind of feels great. And then they're like, these guys are morons. They gave us the wrong stuff. This is great. And then they're like, yeah, there's definitely something wrong with this. And then the Russians come back in. And Steve kind of notices that the doctor is taking out a saw and some scissors and some stuff that looks not quite like a helpful doctor. Big guy goes, let's try this again. Who do you work for? That answer hasn't changed. He still says, Scoops. How'd you find us? Totally by accident. And it looks like Steve's about to lose a finger or something when Robin finally confesses, we heard a code. So she lets something out of the bag, essentially. And then she's like, you guys think you're so smart, but a couple of kids cracked your code, and that's how we got down here. And then Steve, for whatever reason, talks about Dustin Henderson. And then Steve, the truth serum, because he just starts rattling off people's names. And, where's your friend? Oh, he's probably calling Hopper right now, and they're calling the whole cavalry. You guys are going to get your, butts kicked. And the Russian guys are like, is that so? Right before Steve's really going to be experiencing some pain, the alarm goes off. The people rush out to figure out why this alarm's going off, and they see that there's a giant hole in the floor and it's kind of still oozing from green. Like Erica and Dustin have done something with the green to eat through layers of floor. And then Dustin charges in with that taser and tases the doctor, and he's there to rescue Steve and Robin. Like, what the heck? And he says, get ready to run.
Obviously, Steve and Robin are in no condition to run, especially Steve.
Right.
uh, Alexi's description of how impenetrable this fortress is is not the experience that we are seeing with Dustin and Erica having their way with pretty much anything they want to do in this facility. Um, but yeah, he gives away Dustin Henderson's real name, tells him about Hopper, tells him about calling the cavalry, and they're just having such a great time when in reality as an audience we're like, oh no, they're giving away too much information.
Uh-huh. Woo. Dustin, I don't know if he's had a physical hero moment like this. He's been the recipient of Steve's kindness and Steve's protection, but I'm just trying to think if this is the
Well,
first.
he did lock the Demogorgon in the or Demodog in the cellar
Uh-huh.
at one, but like not coming to save the day.
Yeah, this is kind of cool for Dustin too.
Yeah.
It really is like they're brothers. We cut back to 11 and she's still on the beach and something's falling from the sky. Snow, or maybe it's particulate, like we're in the upside down. She looks at her hand, but then she's interrupted. She sees a man and he's yelling, "Hey, Billy, stop. What's wrong with you? You afraid you're going to get hurt? What? Did I raise a pussy for a son? That's right. Run away like you always do." So here's this mean Billy's dad, which we've encountered before, even mean to Billy is like this poor little 10-year-old. Then we see a scene where it's Billy, his mom, and his dad at a dining table, and his dad is asking the mom, "Where were you last night?" And she's like, "I was with Wendy." And the mom and dad start fighting. The dad's accusing mom of cheating. Dad hits her. Then we see Billy on the phone with his mom, presumably now at his dad's house, away from his mom. And he's like, "Please, mom, come home, come home. How long? How long?" And so then gosh, it just keeps escalating. So we're just tracking Billy's childhood here. Then we see a little bit older Billy, and he's become a bully, and he's just beating on this kid. Are you scared to fight me? So this is just Billy still growing up under the poor authority of his father. Then we see when his father's met a new woman, and that woman has a daughter named Maxine. Billy, this is your new sister, Maxine. Then, fast forwarding some more, Eleven gets a glimpse of this steelworks factory. She sees Billy's Camaro parked outside, and where it is in the upside down or this alternate world, just red lightning all around, super scary. In fact, she does look up here, and it looks like she's looking into the eye of a hurricane or a
Yep.
tornado. And then she says out loud, I think I found it, the source. It's Brimborn Steelworks. And Jonathan hears that, and he grabs the yellow pages and he finds it. And then they're like, okay, 11, we found it. Get out of there. Get out, get out, get out. But while she's under, she has another flashback. Or maybe a flash forward. It's kind of confusing. But she flashes back to where Billy had grabbed her hand the upside down, and she pulls the blindfold off. And for a moment in the cabin, nobody's there. So she thought she's come back, but no one's in the cabin. And she yells, Mike, Mike, Mike. But there's that weird echo, like it's not the real world. And we hear Billy say, he can't hear you. You shouldn't have looked for me because now I see you. Now we can all see you. So here's Billy in Hopper's cabin. We cut to Heather and her mom looking sweaty, like, they've been in a sauna themselves, and they're walking out of their own house, and they're walking through town, and it's the 4th of July is happening. And Billy then says, you let us in, and now you are going to have to let us stay. We see more people becoming essentially activated, and they're walking away from wherever they are. They're leaving parties, they're leaving houses, they're just walking away, and people are like, where are you going? And then Billy goes, don't you see? All this time we've been building it, and we've been building it for you. All that work, all of the pain, all of it for you. And now it's time to end it. And we are going to end you. And when you're gone, we're going to end your friends. And then we're going to end everyone. 11 screams. She throws Billy away. She wakes back up in the real world. Everyone's there, double nosebleed. So she's really been deep this time. The scene ends, the episode ends with all of these activated flayed people walking into this steelworks basement in a assembly line essentially. And one by one, Heather first, they dissolve humanly into a pile of goo on the floor and assemble themselves into this monster. Next, it's Heather's mom. She dissemble or just dissolves into a pile of goo, assembles into the monster. Mrs. Driscoll is there. We see her again. She dissolves. It's a lot of goo, and she dissolves, it assimilates into the monster. So all these people who have been flayed are here to dissolve themselves and contribute themselves to the beast that is the monster. Not Billy, because he's the chosen one, apparently. But eventually, this monster becomes so big in the basement that it breaks through and starts to enter the main floor of the warehouse. Roll credits. Whew!
This is the scariest void experience we've seen. Obviously, it's effective to see kind of Billy's past and kind of gives you a glimpse of like the mind flayer is using in this case Billy's past almost psychologically to contribute to their mission.
Uh-huh.
But then when 11 is done, they all say, "All right, we've got what we need. Get out of there." 11 takes off her blindfold, but she's not out of the void. She's not
Yeah.
out of her vision. She's there with Billy. It's like Billy's in control, and this is what we thought would be the worst case scenario.
Yep.
That Evan enters into this situation where she can see and hear things, but that because she's allowing Billy to kind of take control for a while so that she can see Billy's mind,
Uh-huh.
he's keeping her from being able to leave the void. And so when she finally throws him away and takes her blindfold off, it's such a relief because like we don't know how she's going to get out of this.
Right.
He reveals to her that this whole thing was not like the mind flayer thing, like Will, what happened to Will last episode or last season is not what's happening here. They are building something specifically to end 11 because they know, or it knows, he knows that 11 is his adversary. She can close the gate, she can best him. And so they're going to create something out of the life forces of all of these dozens or hundreds of people
Yep.
to end 11 so that they can actually finally control everything.
It's this strange triangle of like the USA slash 11 versus the Upside Down and versus the Russians. And it's like the Russians are trying to use what little they know of this Upside Down to also affect the USA, but also the Upside Down in and of itself wants to destroy the whole world, including 11 seemingly as being the thing that's most in their way.
Yeah,
And 11 is just an innocent bystander. She's not a political entity that's taking up arms. She was just born into a
yeah,
world where she has unusual powers. Like it's oh man, it's starting to just
yeah,
the tension is evolving on multiple planes, supernaturally, politically,
yeah.
like
Well,
personally,
and you get
it's just bizarre.
I get the impression that the Russians might actually not really fully understand what they're doing. Like they think that they might be doing this as a way to create a portal between worlds so that they can travel quicker back and forth to their
Yep.
political adversaries or whatever. But it's like if all this is true, they're going to end up being victims as well.
And it's interesting, like the one of the biggest fears of any country are that spies are embedded in plain sight. And that's probably the only way that the Russians knew this gate was here was because when Hawkins' lab was operating, there was probably a Russian spy there. Is that safe to assume?
I mean, that's definitely possible. That's definitely possible.
I mean, it's almost a joke or a political trope, if you will, like that someone is spying on you. The Russians are spying, so it's like
Yeah.
I think that's the only way that they could have known.
Yeah, well, maybe, I mean, maybe we'll find out more of the Russians' intentions in the coming episodes or seasons or whatever. But this whole thing reminds me of like when you were a kid, did you take Play-Doh, like different colors of Play-Doh and like build like a big thing out of all the like that's what this reminds me of. It's like all these different people's clothes are just on the floor and it's like this monster's I mean, the E Pluribus Unum is a really great name for this episode.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And it turns out if you mix all the Play-Doh together, it forms this really gross color,
Yes.
which
It's like gray, brown, red.
and now this monster is like human Play-Doh, which reminds me why I went vegan. Pretty gross. Like a hot
Like
dog.
like a beef stick, but it's not dehydrated. It's still just wet.
Very hydrated. A hydrated beef clump.
Well,
Oh,
I'm not gonna say that the line that you wrote here kind of makes me not want to take a bite of any other meat either.
what?
You're not gonna get me that quickly.
The bite? Come on now.
Should we see if this little concoction is gonna make its way into Hawkins in the next 5 minutes of the next episode?
I think this meat glob is most definitely about to descend on Hawkins. So I'm just
It's
gonna
on its way
watch.
somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the next 5 minutes. Just because I'll only need to watch the next five. But anyway,
Yep.
woo! Y'all don't be afraid. Whatever's about to happen, we're going to report on it.
Right.
Whatever happens next, we'll be here with the Hawkins Observer.